Something amazing just got better thanks to a new study. 30% of global banks are said to be using Ripple, which is a big chunk of the banking industry. 30% might not seem like much, but it's a big chunk. Ripple is said to be working with almost a third of the world's banks, which is very interesting. We have all the proof you need in this section. The question is whether these banks are using Ripple to its fullest potential, and it looks like they aren't. We'll talk about this topic in more detail today, and we'll also talk about some new information that says Ripple might be going public by the end of March. If this happens, the price of XRP could go through the roof, reaching $1.0 4270. $8.97 in just over a month. Before we get to the main part of today's post, let's quickly catch up. Please do me a small favor. As we get closer to 60,000 subscribers, we'll be giving away a lot of XRP. To enter, just do these 3 simple things, so make sure you're ready and tuned in. Also, don't forget to leave a help coin code in the comments for an interesting twist. A little over 4% of all deposits made through foreign bank accounts are owned by SBI. In the big picture, this means that SBI could be one of the big 4 banks that control 30% of the world's banking market sector, and it could use Ripple's tech. But that's just the start. Ripple has also made a big deal with the Brazilian central bank to offer its on-demand liquidity services. That's just one piece of the world puzzle. If you watched my last video, you may remember that we talked about the BRICS countries and how each one, like China, Brazil, South Africa, and Russia, works. They can connect directly with Ripple for on-demand liquidity and central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. If you compare the world's GDP to that of just the BRICS countries, you can see that they make up about 29% of the world's economic output. This brings up an interesting option. What if all 5 of the BRICS countries decide to work with each other? I talked a lot about this in a previous video where I talked about how easy it is to add CBDCs to the XRP ledger and what steps are already being taken. The XRP ledger is very important right now because it's a big part of how the economy is changing. Because of this, the possibilities for Ripple's technology grow even more as we look forward to the next bull market. After the Federal Reserve made a public statement, the conversation about Ripple's growing role in financial technology changed a lot. They said that both XRP and XLM could be very important in helping to build the blockchain base for their new FedNow payment system. The Federal Reserve pointed out that working with metal blockchain was an important step toward making the switch from fiat to stablecoin smooth. This would help close the gap between traditional banking systems and the decentralized finance sector. Right now, Americans can make fast payments within the US, mostly through third-party apps like Venmo and PayPal or digital cryptocurrency wallets. The FedNow service will change everything about this. The platform is still in its test stage, but over 120 organizations have already signed up to use it. These include well-known banks like US Bank and Exchange Bank, as well as a number of payment processors and solution providers. People are becoming more open to and comfortable with blockchain technology. And this event not only shows that, but it also marks a big turning point in the way traditional banks and the new world of autonomous finance work together as a leader in better payment solutions and distributed ledger technology. Ripple will play a big part in the FedNow project, which is being led by the Federal Reserve. Stellar Lumens XLM, which is known for its blockchain-powered network that speeds up and lowers the cost of sending money around the world, is also expected to join the Fed. Now, ecosystem, this is where the story takes an interesting turn. Not long ago, a story caught the attention of the fintech world. 30% of banks around the world start using XRP, which sends it skyrocketing to $1.0 4270. This is an amazing development that shows how blockchain and banking can change things. The story says that 30% of the world's banks now use XRP for cross-border payments. This is what made its value soar to $1,427. That many people want XRP is clear from the fact that its price has reached all-time highs and its market capitalization has gone through the roof. The rise of XRP is good for Ripple and could make buyers money The story gets more interesting when it is revealed that XRP has almost 30% of the market. In a shocking turn of events, it was only 6 days ago said that XRP transactions could go over $120.00, quadrillion, which would make its price possible. This means that it will be used even more in the global banking system. $10,000.00 today is a big difference because banks are beginning to use the XRP system and its digital assets in more ways. The news is out and no one can change it. It's no longer just a guess that Ripple will buy back XRP. It's happening faster than anyone thought it would. Ripple Labs, the company that made XRP, is not only thinking about buying it, they are also doing it. The recent news story said that Ripple would start buying back a lot of XRP, retiring close to 1 billion XRP. There are a lot of people who are sure about XRP's worth and its future in the financial world. Things get more complicated when it comes out that the Federal Reserve isn't just looking on, but wants to make XRP a big part of global finance methods of payment. If more central banks around the world use XRP, each coin's value could go through the roof, reaching as much as $12,000.00. This would have huge implications. With its high value, XRP has the potential to change the way global banking works. Google's insights also support this path, which backs up the Federal Reserve's plans to use XRP as a global payment option because it is so flexible. These events are a big step forward for Ripple and XRP. They put them at the forefront of financial innovation and could change how payments are made around the world. As promised, we have some shocking papers that were leaked and are about to tell you about them. There are more and more. Recently, the Federal Reserve said it would accept XRP all over the world, which is in line with the ISO 4217 standard. This big plan was supposed to go into action by the end of 2023, but there were delays that weren't expected. As a result, XRP wasn't widely used as a legally recognized currency right away after regulators gave the go-ahead. Now, when you hear the word XRP, you might think of well-known currencies issued by governments and central banks, like the US dollar, the euro, the British pound, but when it comes out that the Federal Reserve wants to use the XRP digital asset, things get more difficult. For example, Google Reader shows that Kikuchi, a government official, says, an expert says this plan would let the Federal Reserve funds work directly with new ideas in the private sector. This would allow people to work together and make huge technological advances. This is just the beginning. Jerome Powell, the head of the U.S. Federal Reserve, has made it clear that big investments are being made to create new independent settlement systems in the U.S. This means that financial technology